What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live session with your boy Franklin. So this one is going to be a really quick, live session. Um, it basically stemmed out of a few emails that I picked up from some of you guys about parents crushing their dreams. So I thought, why not? I'll make a video and we talk about it. If you can see me, thank you for joining. What's going on? Hi, Yewande Braids, Yanu. Give us a like button. Hit the like button. Janine. Hi. Ella. So, anyway, if this is your first time, you happen to come across the live session, thank you for stopping by. My name is Franklin. I'm the brain behind this. And if you do come across this video after the live session, thank you for stopping by. If you like what I'm about, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to look through my videos. First time live from Indianapolis. Shout out from the UK. If you can see me, if you can hear me, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Let's gain a bit more traction. Book key. Hi, 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 hi. Anyway, so as I said, this is going to be a brief, live session. I've had a few emails whereby people talk about how, their parents have crushed their dreams. So, like, actually, by a week ago, I got an email from a lady who talked about how her parents were quite, controlling when she was a lot younger, and they pretty much imposed everything and dictated everything, and she basically didn't have a say. So, for example, this lady, she studied accounting, and she's a chartered accountant, but she doesn't feel fulfilled because, according to the email, her dad, you know, she's African, she's Nigerian by roots. So her dad is basically, dominating. He's dead and gone now, but he was dominating. He basically, it's like he handpicked the career and say, you have to go study to become, an accountant. You don't have a say. You don't get to say no and stuff. And I personally have met so many people who, for example, if you grew up in Africa and stuff, most African homes, and in saying this, let me put out a disclaimer. This is, I'm trying to strike a balance here. This is not to entirely castigate, um, African parents, but at the same time, we have to address some fundamental failings that have turned around to affect a lot of lives negatively. So, what happens is when you don't allow children or young teenagers or adults to express themselves or be able to make choices, and you have to impose and force things on them, it affects them emotionally. Down the line, a lot of people go through life just not living a life whereby they're not being fulfilled, and they're living. So what you find with most African parents, and I say this unapologetically, is they live vicariously through their kids. Now, a lot of parents, and I'm not saying this is just an African parent, I mean African problem. If you look in the white community and stuff, Mexican community, Indian community, you find similar type thing. And you find that parents impose, and I'm a believer that parents should be more of yeah, I get it, you're emotionally attached, you claim to love the children, there's nothing wrong, but it should be a case of you're a guardian. So if my child, for example, expresses interest in art, in oil painting, right? Now, as an adult, I may not even know much about oil painting. It may not be my cup of tea, but you be observant. And if that child really has a keen interest in painting, he loves art, he loves everything, he loves to go to museums, he loves to go to, galleries and stuff like that, you guide them, you guide the child, and as soon as you can see that there is a major, major piping hot interest, I think the job of a parent is, if the mother is present, the father is present, amalgamate your forces and back that child. Maybe the child needs to take art lessons, get the child more and more materials, expose the child into an environment where the talent, the desire will grow a lot more, and you just never know. Your son, your daughter might just be the next Picasso in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years. That's all I'm saying. But when you say to a child, you must become a medical doctor, or you must become a lawyer, and like I was saying, this lady sent me an email. She's in her mid 40s now, and she's a mom. She's got 2 kids, and she said she's basically just unhappy with her life where she is because everything has been imposed on her by her parents. In fact, another gentleman sent me an email saying his dad actually said, if you don't do as you're told, I'll cut you off from the inheritance, I'll cut you off from the family tree. And 9 out of 10 times, as a young, maybe teenager, or a young man or a young woman, you're terrified, you really can't look at your parents in the face because you're dependent on them, particularly financially. And I'm not here preaching blind rebellion, but I'm addressing, if there's a parent that watches this, hopefully you learn from this. But at the same time, man, you just got to, unfortunately, I don't know how to say this, but if kids are underneath your wings as, black parents particularly, man, and if you're a non-black parent, I think you should let them go in the direction. So if a child actually desires to be a medical doctor, my duty as a father is to make sure, first of all, you have a sound educational background. Your foundation is crucial. And if you have to go to medical school and go train to be a doctor, so be it. In the African setting, African parents are very notorious for this threats of I'll cut you off from the family. Even not just the education side of things. You've had a lot of young, middle-aged Africans that tell you their stories. Parents impose relationships on them, force their daughters into marriages, force their sons to marry, and at the end of the day, down the line, they end up in this catastrophic, situations where so many women end up marrying the men they shouldn't have married. So many men end up marrying the women they shouldn't marry because it's all based on sentiments. It's because daddy said, it's because mommy said, it's because mom and dad knows that family. And then there is this sentiment, oh, we're from the same village, oh, this matchmaking nonsense. So they deprive you of finding your true love. They deprive you of making your own choices. And somebody said, I think jealousy and the need to control is in the mix. I agree with you, Elizabeth. This is why I said most parents, they live vicariously through the children. There is a difference between being disciplined and instilling good moral upbringing as you best know it, and raising your children in the best possible way, and just being is it totalitarian or authoritarian, and just being controlling, being narcissistic. That's the word. There are so many narcissistic parents. You go to medical school, or that's the end. What do you think a young teenager or somebody in their very early 20s, they haven't got any financial independence and stuff, they're still reliant on you and all that stuff, they haven't got a roof over their head, they don't have a job and stuff, so they just cave in and they have to go to medical school just to put a smile on daddy's face. But deep down inside, if you ask that guy, do you really want to go to medical school? Nope. I'd love to be a musician. I want to play, bass guitar and learn how to play acoustic or write music for a living. But just because these parents haven't got a clue, they would do anything and everything to sabotage your intentions. The best thing a child can do is to tell the parents to do what they think is right. I left home at 19, best decision for everyone. I mean, lucky you. But the truth is, the template of your life and your background or your journey is totally different from the other person's. Some people don't even have the choice. You know, some people you might have been that one who is gangster. You left home at 19 and you were able to find your feet. It's never the case for a lot of people. You know, a 19-year-old might be contemplating on leaving home, but where would you go? How are you going to feed? Who are you going to go to? Especially those growing in Africa, man. You don't stand a bloody chance. You don't. There's too much sentiment. You know, applying religion, which is another opioid that sabotage the black community, and just making crazy, stupid, decisions. I'll use a classic example. I'm sure virtually everybody watching this, Lewis Hamilton, right? Lewis Hamilton is a globally known F1 driver, race driver, right? If you look into the background of Lewis Hamilton, for example, if go watch the documentary or go YouTube it. Now, what's amazing about Lewis Hamilton's journey as a young lad, as a little boy, was as a little boy, he expressed interest. He showed interest in cars. You know, he loves cars. He was fascinated, intrigued by cars. His father quickly discovered this, and the father backed him, and from there they started taking him to the junior go-karting sessions, and father paying for his lessons and stuff. And what I'm saying is, they could see the interest in the boy, and he just kept going in that direction. They guided him, they supported him, and he grew from there. And today, Lewis Hamilton is a multi-millionaire. He's well known. He's done well for himself. He's won loads of Grand Prix. He's a mega name across the planet, right? Imagine if Lewis Hamilton, as a young boy, had interest in driving cars, and the father said, "Nope, you're going to have to become a teacher, or you're going to have to become a postman, or you're going to have to become a truck driver, or you're going to have to become a lawyer, or whatever." And the boy didn't really want to become a lawyer. So today, he'll just be another head count somewhere, caught up in the rat race, and just living life because his parents have imposed this life-shattering template. So I think if there's a parent watching this, observe your children, let them express themselves. That's the only thing I can say. If a child says, as long as the child is not making a stupid decision, "Oh, mom, oh, dad, yeah, well, so what do you want to do in future? What interests you?" "Oh, mom, I want to become a pole dancer." "Oh, holy smokes." "I want to become a pole dancer." "Oh, I want to rob banks for a living." Of course, that's silly, right? But if it's nothing as silly as that, why don't we another example is, if you go back many years ago, if you grew up in like Nigeria, for example, if you did a bit of growing up in Nigeria, you'd agree with me, even across most African countries, there was a time many years ago when, for young boys, playing football was seen as a taboo. Like, if a boy had keen interest in kicking football around, most African parents would look at that boy like the boy is a waste of space. Like, oh, he's useless. He needs to go and pick up his chemistry and physics books and go and train to be a doctor or a lawyer. Why is he kicking football around, right? There was this stigma, this ridiculous thing whereby fathers particularly would come down heavy and beat the crap out of you. But then there was a shift in paradigm when, with the rise of Premiership football, then there was a time when people were being scouted and headhunted in Africa. Football prodigies were being picked, and then they soon realized the news spread that, oh, if you go play in this country, they'll pay you X thousands of pounds and dollars and stuff. So those parents, they soon realized that, oh, there is money to be made. Then everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry start to push their sons into playing football, this is why I call selfishness. This is greed. You're living vicariously through your children. So the only reason you're encouraging your son to go play football is so that the child can get paid tons of money, and you can fleece that child and you can live off that money. And then what? Your excuse is, "Oh, I gave birth to you, paid your school fees," which, of course, no more stationery stores and IICC. Let me see some comments here. IICC, that's some old name, man. Parents' role is to give advice to the children to help them make their own choices, not to force them to realize our own dreams and then we couldn't achieve when we were young. Absolutely. You have to aspire to be a doctor or a lawyer, and that put a lot of young men under pressure. Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, in the case of, we are guardians. As a parent, you're a guardian. You make sure you help them, you guide them. Before you know, man, within the two shakes of a duck, still they grow, they hit 18, 19, 20, whatever, they fly out the nest. But not to superimpose, you know, on these kids. And lastly, somebody sent me an email. He actually lives here in the UK, and he's been a lawyer for quite some time. And this guy said to me, he said, Franklin, I'm trained, I'm a qualified lawyer. I said, I went to law school and all of that stuff. His dad paid a ton of money from Nigeria. Then later on, he became a citizen here and all that. Dad is dead now, mom is still alive. But the dude said he's working in the city of London with a major firm. He's earning good money, but deep down inside, there is a gaping hole in his life. He doesn't feel fulfilled because he really doesn't want to live his life as a lawyer. So then I asked him via email, what is it that interests you? And then he said, I've always wanted to be an IT consultant. I've always loved IT. And I thought, wow. He said, but the dad said, you must be a lawyer. And there you have it. Too many young people in Nigeria now want to be the next Davido and Wizkid. Yeah, that's another thing. Thank you, Indigo, for sharing that. People need to manage their expectations. You see, thank you for bringing that up, right? So I think one of the fundamental problems with Nigeria is lack of job creation because poverty is very high. So if you become a prodigy tomorrow morning and you start singing and you start making money, every parent, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, a ton of parents simply will start putting pressure on their children, get into music, go and start singing. Even if the kids are not talented, they can't sing, they're not cut out for that crap. You force them just because of money. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the same thing, like you rightly said. They realize that it's the same thing. There is this trend in Nigeria, for example. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to become a comedian, wants to become a stand-up comedian. And you listen to some of their skits in about 1-2 minutes, and they are as dry as the desert because a lot of them are not cut out for comedy. Because when people just think, such and such is getting paid 500,000 for a show, go and jump on it. But you're not cut out for it though. And the parents put pressure on them, go and do it. Go and do what Franklin is doing just because they want to live off you. This parasitic mentality is why a lot of lives are being ruined. Let's keep the conversation going on below. I said it's going to be a really, really short live session, okay? It's Friday evening. Let's keep the conversation going on. It's your boy Franklin. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. What do you think parents need to do differently? Do you have any other ideas? Do you agree with me or do you disagree? It's your boy Franklin. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll definitely catch you in the next one. Peace and love. Bye now.